Good afternoon, I'm Vashon Brown with the Midday News. Special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. I remind as well that you can watch TVJ live by downloading our One Spot Media app in the Google Play Store or the App Store. That's the number 1 followed by the words Spot Media. The man who will take up duties in less than 24 hours as acting Commissioner of Police has outlined plans to bolster the number of members in the Jamaica Constabulary Force JCF. Deputy Commissioner Clifford Blake says this is part of efforts to aggressively tackle crime. Speaking last night on RJR's weekly program, Balancing Justice, DCP Blake disclosed that several hundred persons are scheduled to start joining the force in March.
At university, we have 198 at the Hammond Barracks training wing. We have another 200 at Twickenham Park. So in effect, we are looking at about 700, just under 700 police officers actually in training. So it has been significantly ramped up in terms of the number.
He will take up duties as acting commissioner with George Quayle to step down today after 9 months as the JCF's top cop. Meanwhile, political analyst Michael Williams believes the police force has been given basket to carry water. He argues that the security force lacks the requisite resources to carry out the mandate of serving, protecting and reassuring the nation's citizens.
On demand, the 12,000 that's supposed to be the Jamaica Constabulary Force Stroke Service was 25 years ago. Up to now, we still can't recruit 12,000 Red Seam police.
He adds that the previous administration came close to hiring the target number of police officers. However, he says it was not enough. Mr. Williams notes that the Andrew Holness-led government has promised the JCF to provide the equipment needed, but they have failed.
Look, 2 years now this government is in power and then promise the people police vehicle. How much them give them? 60?
Right.
90? Them need 400.
Mr. Williams was speaking on TVJ's Smile Jamaica program on Tuesday. Financial analyst and the Chief Executive Officer of the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, PSOJ, Dennis Chung, says the country's crime problem is a hindrance to production. Mr. Chung, who was speaking on TVJ's Smile Jamaica program this morning, said the private sector will play a more active role in the fight against crime. Here's TVJ's Gillian Pearson.
More than $80 billion. That's how much the country loses in GDP per year as a result of the high rise in crime rate. This, according to financial analyst Dennis Chung, is not only a negative perception of the country, but a hindrance to the country's production.
People can't go to work in terms of the shift hours that they want. People are fearful about going out. I mean, I know personally, I talk when I go to Montego Bay, I'm afraid, as a Kingstonian.
He highlights that crime in Jamaica has placed a burden of providing adequate security systems on the business community. He believes that getting crime under control will allow for more growth in business and possibly better wages for some employees.
If we did not have that cost, you'd be looking at higher profits. You'd be looking at companies being a lot more efficient. You'd be looking at more money for employees also. So it is a significant cost.
Conceding that the PSOJ does not have a crime-fighting plan, Mr. Chung has declared that those who have been elected to ensure the country's security will be held accountable. Nevertheless, he says a public safety and order summit will be introduced by the PSOJ on February 16 and 17, which will involve both the government and the opposition.
What we're trying to do is bring everyone together in one room and say to them, okay, at a high level, what is the approach that we're going to have to crime, which transcends elections, right? And then what we're going to do is on the 17th, we're going to ask everyone to sign off on a way forward, and we're going to make it very public in terms of, what we've signed to, and we're going to have a monitoring mechanism to go with it also.
Gillian Pearson, TVJ News.
An elderly woman is dead after her home went up in flames on Monday. The victim has been identified as 75-year-old Monica Carr of Camp Savannah Mountain in Westmoreland. It's reported that she lived alone in a 6-apartment dwelling. Reports are that Miss Carr was at home about 10 a.m. when residents saw smoke coming from a section of the house. Residents kicked open the door to the house to save Miss Carr, who some years ago had lost a leg. However, it was too late when residents gained access to the house, as she was already on fire. By the time they could save her, she was dead. There is more indication that the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions, JCTU, and the government are close to a public sector wage deal. Last week, the JCTU reported that it received improved offers from the Ministry of Finance. Speaking with our news center on Tuesday, JCTU President Helene Davis-White said there has been positive feedback from workers to the proposals. They include, among other things, a 4-year wage contract. She also outlined what's left to be done before a wage agreement is signed. And the Ministry of Health's Environmental Health Department says it will be doing a comprehensive survey of beaches across the island, and in particular Old Harbour in St. Catherine the fishing beach in St. Catherine, to address the problem of improper garbage disposal at such facilities. TVJ's O'Shane Masters reports.
At one side of the Old Harbour Bay beach in St. Catherine, two fisherfolk finding creative means of keeping the beach clean. But at another end, there is no hiding the problem of improper garbage disposal, which continues to plague beaches island-wide. Satania Beckford, who operates more than one business on the beach, has complained of infrequent garbage collection of once a month or even longer. Director of Environmental Health at the Ministry of Health, Everton Baker, says his department will be working to address the matter.
If we have to discuss with National Solid Waste, which are very accommodating, we can do that to ensure that we have things going and the sanitary standards are maintained.
I would want to see this place clean and not stop clean, because cleanliness, because God don't love ugly and dirtiness is ugly. So we think twice about cleanliness, that we want to re-clean and clean and more clean.
Herman Coley is a fisherman at Old Harbour Beach and admits that there is more that persons who work and live at the beach can do to keep it cleaner.
Most of the fishers, they leave their equipment down on the ground all around, which is not safe for people who have to walk, and it is not safe for their equipment also. So we are also trying to educate them. This is what I built to store the equipment out here. These two boats on the side here is mine, and we operate. Workman is up there working right now, repairing net. So, you know, all of us not going to be able to build something like this, but all of us can protect our net much better.
O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
The government says it is looking to expand the town of Falmouth in Trelawney. The announcement comes almost 3 years after growing calls from stakeholders for the expansion of the town. We have more in this report.
Former Mayor of Falmouth, Garth Wilkinson, says the plans for expansion have been around long before the 2011 opening of the town's cruise pier. However, Mr. Wilkinson claims that due to the marketing of Falmouth as a tourism destination, the plans for expansion never materialized as tourists were diverted elsewhere. But the expansion once again seems to be in the thoughts of the Andrew Holness-led administration.
What we want to do is to create a new town center for Falmouth, and we have identified 50 acres of land which are adjoining, which we plan to develop into using the Morant Bay model. Which we are doing with the Goodyear factory, where we will start the nucleus of that new town center by putting all the government buildings there, which would also include the parish council.
Mr. Holness says the relocation of businesses and government agencies from the historic town centre will be beneficial, as the old town centre will be viable to the country's tourism product.
There are many historic towns dotted within the Caribbean and on the Caribbean coastline. Falmouth in my mind, is a gem. And this is a real asset for Jamaica. We have just not utilized it.
But what about the drainage issue in the town centre?
We have to improve the infrastructure and put a program in place for the proper management of solid waste. We are going to transform this town, and it is going to be a town that the people of Falmouth and Trelawney can be proud of, the entire Jamaica can be proud of, and it will be a gem of the Caribbean.
Mr. Holness was speaking with members of the media at a recent tour of the historic town of Falmouth. Shane Masters, TVJ News.
And time now for a look at what's coming up in this evening's Health Report.
In the next edition of the Health Report, we look at the impact of a drug known as ibuprofen could have on male fertility.
What they concluded or inferred from their results is that if men took this drug frequently for a period of time, if their testosterone levels eventually became reduced, this would impact their libido or interest in intercourse. It would impact their erections and hence also impact fertility status, because if men are not having sex, they cannot have children.
That's the Health Report this evening in Primetime News. And now for today's healthy living tip. Men should watch their soy intake. Avoid toxic chemicals in the workplace. Quit smoking. Aim for a healthy weight. And go easy on the alcohol.
And time now for news overseas. The attorneys for U.S. President Donald Trump are arguing that Special Counsel Robert Mueller's team has not met the high threshold they believe is needed to interview a president in person, while the revelation by Trump's attorneys come as investigations into the election meddling continues to intensify. We go to the CNN for more. And time now for sports. Two classic winners which have had injury issues in 2015 and the 2016 Derby winners, Seeking My Dream and Orpheus, are on the mend, and their connections are expecting better performances in 2018.
Two-time Horse of the Year Seeking My Dream, which was unable to defend his Diamond Mile trophy due to injury issues in 2017, is on the mend. Trainer Wayne DaCosta says the 6-year-old chestnut horse is back on the track doing light exercise work.
We're going to take it very slow, but right now the tendon is good. He's always had a tendon. It flared up at about the middle of last year, and when we almost got it back right, he got a stone squeeze. And the stone squeeze is what kept him out of the latter part of the races.
DaCosta adds that the 2015 Derby winner should make a return within the next 3 months. The 17-time champion trainer says Seeking My Dream will have to work his way back up to Grade 1 class.
He now is down to open allowance, so he'll get a run in a lesser class, and then he'll come back to the top class as long as he wins.
Meanwhile, after winning by over 5.5 lengths in overnight allowance on Saturday, 2016 Derby winner Orpheus has given his connections hope for the 2018 season. The 5-year-old chestnut horse, which pulled up lame in the 2016 St. Leger before returning to the track in August 2017, was registering his second win since then.
At that time, I had him as a better horse than Big Daddy Cool at that time. And because of his injury, I couldn't ride him. I had to pull him up because I could feel him when he break down, and pull him up and jump off him. And you know, it's good when you can save an animal, and then you see him. You must feel pleased that you can see him come back now, 2 years time, and winning and running good times like this.
Trainer Anthony Babenunez says Orpheus's preparation going into his last race was different.
Well, today it's the first time I'd tell you in about a year and a half that I actually trained him. You know, we took the chance that we felt that he was hard enough after coming off of the layoff, and I'd been gingerly with him going ahead, and I said, you know what, if we're going to make it up in the higher grades, he's going to have to take some training, so let's see if he can stand up to it, and so far so good.
In the meantime, Nunez revealed that his top 2-year-old performer in 2017, Patriarch, is to have surgery on Friday and will miss most of the classic season, as the expected return date is in July. For TVJ Sports, I am Denise Walters.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Vashon Brown. Join us at 7 for Primetime News Package. On behalf of the News, Sports and Production teams, have a good afternoon.